Act 5, Scene 8. Let's finish this, you guys. Here we go. Enter Macbeth. Why should I play the Roman fool and die on mine own sword? I'm not going to kill myself here. Whiles I see lives, the gashes do better upon them. I'm going to kill them. Gashes are better on them than on me. Enter Macduff. Dun, dun, dun. Remember, the witches told Macbeth, beware Macduff. The witches also told Macbeth, none of woman born can harm you. How's that going to play out? Here it goes. Turn, hellhound, turn. It's like the final stages of the Game of Thrones here, you guys. Of all men else, I have avoided thee. But get thee back. My soul is too much charged with blood of thine already. It's like Macbeth is pouring salt in the wound, right? I've already killed so many of your people. Get back. I have no words. My voice is in my sword. Thou bloodier villain, than terms can give thee out. They fight, battle sounds. Thou losest labor. Macbeth is taunting him. Macbeth is saying, like, you're wasting your efforts right now, Macduff. As easy mayest thou the entrenchant air with thy keen sword impress as make me bleed. It's just as easy for you, Macduff, to make the air bleed as it is for you to make me bleed, is what Macbeth is saying to him. Of course, he's thinking what the witch told him. Nobody of woman born can hurt you, right? So he's assuming I'm safe. Let fall thy blade on vulnerable cress. Fight someone who can be harmed. I bear a charmed life, which must not yield to one of woman born. Despair thy charm, he says, give up your hope, and let the angel, the witch, whom thou still hast served, tell thee, Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped. This is a big point here. Macduff is saying, I wasn't born of a woman. I was ripped untimely from my mother's womb. In our present time, to have a cesarean or a C-section is very common. I bet many of you were even born by C-section, and it's very common. There's no risk in it. In 1603, you didn't make it if you had a cesarean. You didn't have antibiotics. Doctors didn't quite know what they were doing. They would wait till the very last moment to do a cesarean, and oftentimes it would be too late to save the baby or the mother. And so by Macduff saying I was born of a cesarean, at that time they didn't consider that being born naturally. So this is how we get through that part of the witch's warning, none of woman born. Macduff is saying, I wasn't born of a woman. I was ripped from a woman's womb, which is not quite being born from a woman. So you can imagine Macbeth's face as he hears this news. He knows he's undone. Accursed be that tongue that tells me so, for it hath cowed my better part of man. Now I'm afraid. And be these juggling fiends no more believed that palter with us in a double sense. He finally gets it, right? He finally gets, gall darn it, I shouldn't have trusted these juggling fiends, these witches. I shouldn't have fallen to temptation. He's finally getting it. That keep the word of promise to our ear and break it to our hope. I'll not fight with thee, he says. Then yield thee, coward, and live to be the show and gaze of the time. Come be my prisoner. We'll have thee, as our rarer monsters are, painted upon a pole and underwrit, here may you see the tyrant. I will not yield to kiss the ground before young Malcolm's feet, and to be baited with the rabble's curse. I won't be a prisoner on display. I won't be loyal to Malcolm. Though Burnham would become to Dunsinane, and thou opposed, being of no woman born, yet I will try the last. He keeps on going. You got to admire Macbeth's strength here. How does he keep on going? Before my body I throw my warlike shield. Lay on, Macduff, and damned be him that first cries, hold, enough. They exit, fighting, battle sounds. They enter, fighting, and Macbeth is slain. Macduff exits, carrying off Macbeth's body. Retreat and flourish, dun da da da. Enter with drum and colors, Malcolm, Seward, Ross, Thanes, and soldiers. I would the friends we miss were safe arrived. I wish all had survived the battle. Some must go off. And yet by these I see so great a day as this is cheaply bought. By the soldiers I see here, we didn't lose much life. Some must go off. And yet, I read that part, sorry. By these I see so great a day as this is cheaply bought. Macduff is missing. And your noble son. Your son, my lord, has paid a soldier's debt. Young Seward, he died. He only lived but till he was a man. The which no sooner had his prowess confirmed in the unshrinking station where he fought, but, like a man, he died. Then he is dead. I am brought off the field. Your cause of sorrow must not be measured by his worth, for then it hath no end. Had he his hurts before, before, meaning were his wounds on the front of his body? This would be a big deal. If it's on the front of your body, it means you died fighting. If your wounds are on the back of your body, it means you were retreating, like you were scared. Ross's eye, they were on the front. Why then, God's soldier be he. Had I as many sons as I have hairs, I would not wish them to a fairer death. And so his knell is knolled. He's worth more sorrow, and that I will spend for him. He's worth no more. They say he parted well and paid his score, and so God be with him. Here comes newer comfort. Enter Macduff with Macbeth's head. Hail, King. He's addressing Malcolm, right? Hail, King, for so thou art. Behold where stands the usurper's cursed head. A usurper is someone who takes power that does not belong to them. So this is Macbeth, right? The time is free. I see thee compassed with thy kingdom's pearl, that speak my salutation in their minds, whose voices I desire aloud with mine. Hail, King of Scotland! All hail, King of Scotland. Dun, da, da, da. We shall not spend a large expense of time before we reckon with your several loves, and make us even with you. My thanes and kinsmen, henceforth be earls, the first that ever Scotland in such an honor named. Look at Malcolm's first words as king is words that share power. He says, from here on out, everyone is going to be earls, the first that ever Scotland had. So he's sharing land. Everyone is going to own their land here. You're going to be earls of your own land. He's sharing his power. What's more to do, which would be planted newly with the time, as calling home our exiled friends abroad that fled the snares of watchful tyranny. Let's call back the refugees, all the people who left Scotland because it was a dangerous place under Macbeth's rule. Let's call them back. Producing forth the cruel ministers of this dead butcher and his fiend-like queen, who, as 'tis thought, by self and violent hands took off her life, this, and what needful else that calls upon us. By the grace of grace, we will perform in measure, time, and place. So thanks to all at once, and to each one whom we invite to see us crowned at Scone. Dun, da, da, da. And they exit. Okay, before we sign off here, you guys, let's think about those prophecies at the beginning. That Macbeth would be Thane of Glamis, Thane of Cawdor, and king. They all came true. Banquo was going to be happier than Macbeth, but not so happy, which is true, right? He died, but he died honorable. He died a good man. Lesser than Macbeth, but greater, which is true too. He wasn't a king, lesser than Macbeth, but greater. Macbeth is considered a tyrant right now. That third one, though, that Banquo's kids will be king. How did that one come true? If you guys were audience members in London in 1603, you would know that historically it does come true because you would know your Scottish history, just like we know our American history. You would know that Fleance eventually returns to Scotland after the death of Macbeth, and you would know that Fleance's son Stevard eventually marries a princess, so one of Malcolm's granddaughters, I think it is, and becomes king down the line. So that one comes true too, and the tyrant Macbeth is no longer in power. The theme we're thinking about, why do people do evil, even though they know it's evil? Macbeth started as a really good man, honorable, respected man. But the temptation and the prophecies of the witches got into his head, and he couldn't handle it. Temptation, how does it affect us? And he turned into a tyrant. Why do we do evil, even though we know it's evil? In the end, though, the natural order is restored. Remember all those unnatural things that happened? The horses eating each other, the chimneys blowing over, the witches are unnatural. Assassinating a king is so unnatural. The way Lady Macbeth was acting like a man would be really unnatural in 1603. All of those unnatural actions emphasize how unnatural it is for humans to be evil. By the end, though, the natural order is restored when Malcolm is in power. Malcolm is the rightful heir to the throne. He's a good person, and nature is restored. And I suppose we could say they live happily ever after. The end.